My name is Jason Caddy, and I'm so glad that you've joined me here for episode number 10, or episode number 11. How about that? Episode 11 of the Pastor's Notebook, where we learn, grow, and go forward together in ministry and life. If you are new to the Pastor's Notebook, then I am so glad that you're here. We are having a blast. I'm getting some feedback, and I'm having a blast just sharing what I've learned, sharing what I'm learning, all of that kind of stuff. It's helping me to grow. And on top of that, I believe that it's helping all of us to grow forward together in ministry and life. On top of that, if you are returning, then I'm glad you're back as well, because hopefully that means that over the last 10 episodes that has helped you in some way, that you're learning some things, you're seeing some things, you're taking some notes on ways to become better in life. And listen, I will tell you from the very beginning that I started this as a pastor, talking to pastors because I love pastors. I have a heart for pastors. But what I've learned is that there are so many out there who are not necessarily pastors who have started listening to this thing. And so what I'm hoping is that as I kind of tweak it to move away from just a pastoral focus into this idea of really leadership, into this idea of how it affects those of us that are, once again, selling cars, or we're out there and we're selling insurance, or whatever we're doing, or we're on the factory line and we're managing people. Then the goal and the idea is that what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the principles of life, we're going to take some of the principles of leadership, we're going to take some of those things and begin to implement them into our lives, into the things that are going on. So once again, this is episode number 11. I will tell you that you can get this, the Pastor's Notebook, every single Tuesday. I would love for you to subscribe, share, rate, and review this thing. Share it with anybody that you know. It just helps. Once again, the feedback I'm getting is that it's a good thing, it's a positive thing. And so we want to learn and grow and go forward together in ministry and in life. Hey, this is episode number 11, and one of the things that I really wanted to talk about today is just this idea of conflict. Conflict seems to be a part of every one of our lives. It's something that we struggle with. I have known, I think, of at least two, maybe three people that enjoy it, right? They'll call people up. They would do this just to show you how to handle conflict. They're like, watch, I'll start something, and they go with it, which blows my mind. I will tell you this, that I did not like conflict. I don't know that I still like it. I've just come to accept that it's part of life. It's part of the deal. It's something I got to deal with. It took me till I was probably in my mid-30s before I began to really know how to handle conflict. Now, obviously, over those first 30 years, I started learning ways to make myself better, to handle things. Sometimes I coped with it rather than handling it. Sometimes I just kind of pushed it, underneath the rug and was hoping it would go away. What brought this on is I know a pastor. I was talking with this past week, and this pastor, literally, as he was kind of going through life, there have been these people that have been on his back. They've been chirping in his ear. They've been making life miserable for him. It's not at the church I'm at. It's somewhere far, far away. But he said, hey, I've got this meeting coming up. This person who has been a thorn in my flesh over the last 3, 4 years has asked me to meet. And I said, really, are you ready for it? They said, yeah, I think so. I basically looked and said that, hey, this is the only day I got. And so we're going to meet with them. And I'll tell you the end of that story later on. We'll come back to that. But what I wanted to do on this day is just kind of give a couple, several different things that are important when it comes to handling conflict. And once again, you can do this as a pastor, you can do this as a manager, you can do this as a CEO, whatever it is, wherever you find yourself in your life. These are important things. If you're a student and you need to talk to a professor, all that kind of stuff, right? If you're a teacher and talking with parents, and it doesn't matter. If you're an official and you're talking with players, you can do this kind of stuff. Maybe not all of them, but these are just several different things that I believe are important when it comes to handling conflict. The first one is you need to meet with them. As an official, which I officiate football, basketball, and volleyball, if a coach has a question, man, I go over to the sideline. I get with them. I want to hear what's going on. If you're a pastor, make sure that you've got some time in your day. Now, we all know, whether you're whatever kind of leader you're in, There are certain people that are always going to have issues with you. They're always going to struggle with you, whatever. And so I'm not telling you got to bend to everything they want. But you know those people that when they have a gripe or they have a complaint, that it's legitimate, right? And so you need to meet with them. People, we're in the people business. That's business. That's life. And so it might be a parent and a teenager, right? You need to meet with them, hang out with them, talk to them. There's something about coming together, especially if you know that they have an issue with you. I think that's important because when you do that, and this is really the second thing I want to share, but it kind of flows into it, meet with them quickly. Don't put it off. Because if there are issues, then the more that you put it off, the more things begin to fester, the more that festering begins to seep out in other areas. And you don't want to do that, right? So make sure that what you're doing is meeting with people that you know that there are issues. Now, it may be that you know some things that they're doing that you need to meet with them. It's better to do it quickly than it is to sit on it. Because if you sit on it too much, number one, you're going to talk yourself out of it. Number two, they're going to continue to make waves in areas that you don't want them making waves, right? So you need to meet with them quickly. And when you meet with them, number three, when you meet with them, make sure that what you do is you seek first to understand. Now, I'm not the first one to say it. I probably heard that from somebody like a John Maxwell, right? I'm not going to tell you that's who it was, but I have heard that for, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 decades. Seek first to understand. So when you get with them, and maybe you're the one initiating, it probably is best, especially if you know they have beef with you or if you know you got issues with them. I like to kind of make it my priority, right? And so, but when I sit down with them, I go, hey, I hear this. Is this true? Because you're seeking first to understand. What it does is it kind of puts them at ease. You're asking them, you're not telling them, you're asking for their opinion. They feel free to share, all that kind of stuff. Make sure to seek first to understand. Hey, is this what's happening? Is this really what you're thinking? Is this what you're doing? This is what I'm hearing, but I don't want to take that for granted. And once again, what that does is it reminds them that this is all about a relationship. It reminds them that what you're trying to do is help, that you don't want to be part of the problem. Now, I'm not telling you that there are moments as a boss or a leader or whatever that you can't come in and say, "Hey, listen, here's the deal. We need to stop this." But most of the time, it just sets the tone. If you seek first to understand, it sets a better tone for the rest of the conversation. If it's possible, right? Number four, if it's possible, make sure you know your desired outcome. I once had a guy that literally, man, as a pastor, he had cussed me out. He had threatened me. We, as the church board, the leadership team, had tried to uh, work with the person, and we started having to bring police involved. It was an ugly, ugly time, and we dealt with this for about 6 or 8 months. I can't even remember. But I knew when I finally met with him, and this is one of the ways I learned to meet with him quickly. When I finally met face to face with him, his wife, there were two people from our leadership team. I said, here's the desired outcome. This is what's going to happen tonight. And he kept trying to divert, he kept trying to push aside, he kept trying to attack, he kept trying to lob bombs, whatever. And I just kept going, hey, I just need you to know, I hear you, I understand you're mad, I know you don't like the decision, all that stuff. This is what's got to happen tonight. I knew my desired outcome, and I kept going back to that. I didn't take anything personal. It didn't matter what kind of attacks he was going to do, all that stuff. I knew. Now, that's not always possible. I know that. You know that. But if possible, write it down. This is the desired outcome. At some point, it's always good, maybe even, to remind them of the mission. I told you I'd come back to what was going on. This friend of mine, a thorn in the flesh, they met together. They accused them of some things, and they said, okay, we'll talk about that. But ultimately, one of the things they came back to is here's the mission, here's the goal. I want to care for these people, I want to help these people. This is the mission, this is the desire. It really kind of goes coincides side by side with knowing the desired outcome is reminding the people that we're really on the same team. Ultimately, somewhere along the way. Now, that may not always be, once again, in the example that I told you about somebody and what they were doing for 8 months and leadership team, we weren't on the same team. So that may not work. But if possible, come back to mission. Most of the time, we can disagree. I'm all right with disagreeing about how to get something done. I just want to make sure that we get done what's necessary. So if it's appropriate, if it's available, remind people that we're a part of a team and that we're not to attack each other, we're to attack the problem, right? Now, there are going to be some moments, and I've seen this over and over again in other people, I've seen it in my own life, where you're just going to have to take responsibility. I can't tell you if I were to list all the times I had to take responsibility when people said, Jason, you didn't do this. You're right, I didn't. Uh, why did you not do that? I failed. At some point, there are moments. In fact, I've told other people, I've told staff members before, hey, listen, we're going to go see these people. They're pretty upset. They're upset about the way you handled it, what you did, all that stuff. You know, there was a better way we could have done that. We talked about that. And I said, listen, we're just going to go and kind of take what's coming because it's going to come. And just know that we need to be humble. We need to be caring. We need to be loving, and they have a beef and they have a rightful beef with us. Okay? So there's going to be moments where you just need to take responsibility. The friend I started out with 3 or 4 years, thorn in the flesh, he said, hey, I did it. You're right. I messed up. And what happens is, so often in our world, leadership doesn't want, they want to say, well, I was doing my best, but I guess I didn't make you happy. That's not taking responsibility. If I'm the leader, the buck stops with me. And so I need to take responsibility. And if I have to eat my words, if I have to eat my actions and take the pain, then I'm willing to do that because that's authenticity and that's for another time. But people ultimately at some level are going to take and have a little bit more respect eventually at that level. All right? One of the other things when you're in that meeting, express the desire to move forward. Hey, listen, I messed up, or I know this is not the decision you liked, whatever. Here's the mission. We're not attacking each other. Let's attack the problem. All of that kind of stuff. I always try and go, how do we move forward? What do I need to do? How do I restore trust with you? Or how do I help you to see what's going on? Or sometimes I'll even say, these are our next steps. This is where we're going, and I hope you'll join us. Believe it or not, one time somebody said, well, I can't stay. I've got to leave the church. And I tried to talk them out. But then eventually I go, okay, well, how do I help? And they were like, you want to help me leave? I said, well, I'm not wanting you to leave, but if that's your choice, if that's your final decision, then I care enough to help you. And it was kind of one of those weird things, but express that desire to move forward. The last thing, and I didn't list all these, I didn't give you a number with all these, but the last thing I just wanted to share today is that you probably, once that meeting's done, I would turn around. If it's, you may have gone to a restaurant, come back to your office. If you're in your office, turn around, get on your computer, and just take notes. Take them quickly. Hey, I met with Jason today. He expressed his disappointment here. I took responsibility there. All that kind of stuff. Just write down. This is something I'm not good at, but I'm telling you, it's a very positive thing to do. The reason is, if people come back, if something's said, something shared, whatever, then what you have whenever you get to that point is the ability to go, well, this is what happened. I took these notes right after we met. This is what I wrote down. It's what I remembered. That way, if there's ever any question, you're able to share that. All right? So meet with them quickly. Seek first to understand. Know your desired outcome if you can. And at some point, remind them of the mission. Take responsibility if you need to. I just made some fun stuff on the computer there. Take responsibility if you need to. Express the desire to move forward. And then always go back, and just write some notes down. It's going to help you later. It's going to help them later. If it's a big blowout thing and you know it's kind of dangerous anyway, then just take notes. I didn't even mention other things like having people with you at times, whatever. So that's kind of what I wanted to share today, all right? So this is episode 11. We've been talking about conflict and how to deal with that conflict, all of those kinds of things. I'm glad that you turned into the pastor's notebook, and And I'm praying and I'm hoping that this episode has given you some perspective on how to be a better pastor, how to better be a better leader or a better manager or whatever it may be in your line of work, in your line of life that maybe you hadn't thought about or maybe you needed reminded about. Sometimes we don't need to learn something new. We just need to be reminded of what we already know. And I pray that it causes you to grow and even give you some steps forward for the sake of your spiritual walk and for the sake of those that are around you, right? As a Sunday school teacher or whatever area you find yourself in, I'm praying that this has been a good 15, 16 minutes for you. So remember that the next episode comes out next Tuesday. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on YouTube, whatever way. Please, please, I'm asking you to subscribe, to share, to rate, to review. Get this out to as many people as you know, whoever could use this. That's the whole point of it, so we can learn, grow, and go forward together in ministry and in life. My name is Jason Caddy. I'm just glad to be a part of it all. And never, ever forget, my friend, you are loved.